This video is brought to you by my two books, Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist and The Blues Guitar Bible. Want to learn about modes, harmony, scales, chord substitution and keys? Or maybe you're interested in supercharging your blues guitar rhythm and lead chops. Whatever you're interested in, I guarantee you will be hitting the fast lane to progress with either of these works. Both feature video demonstrations and tutorials, loads of tabs and jam tracks to play along with, and I promise you, everything is explained in crystal clear plain English. Check out the links in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today's Tuesday, which, as you know, it is the custom in this parish that we run through a top 5 list, and that's why it's called Top 5 Tuesday. And you've already seen the title of the video on the thumbnail, so I won't waste too much time with the intro. Basically, I'm talking about my 5 favourite blues players who happen to use Telecasters. You'd be hard-pressed really to find a blues guitarist who hasn't at some point used a Telecaster over the years. Even a very young B.B. King, you can see pictures of him, cradling a Telecaster. And he's not exactly known for playing that style of guitar, but he did at one point, and that's my point here. Basically, you can find examples of blues players pretty much anywhere who have at some point used a Tele-style guitar. What I'm talking about today, though, are guitarists who are pretty much identified with the Telecaster in some way or other. And when I'm saying blues guitarists, some of these players may not necessarily always stick faithfully to the 12-bar format, but undoubtedly their phrasing, their musicality, and just everything about the way that they play means that they've got their roots in the blues in one way or another. So, that's what we're talking about today. Let's see who's first on the list.
Albert Collins.
Yes, Mr. Albert Collins. I discovered Albert Collins, and I suppose a lot of people of my vintage also discovered him this way, from his guest spot with George Thorogood and the Destroyers on the Live Aid gig. This was on the American side of the concert, because it was like the Wembley side, and where was it? Was it Philadelphia in America? That side of it. And I also discovered Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers from that gig as well, but that's another story. Anyway, yes, George Thorogood and the Destroyers came on. I sort of was aware of them as a name. I don't think I'd ever really heard any of their music, and and they introduced Albert Collins, and on comes this wiry-looking guy with a Telecaster slung over the wrong shoulder. Always makes me wonder how it never used to slide off, with a capo on way up the neck, just playing all of these fearsome, what I thought of at the time as fiery, kind of rapid-fire blues licks. Fiery is probably the wrong term, isn't it, really, because he was always known as the Iceman. But, there he is, Albert Collins. Discovered him through Live Aid. Then later on, he did that guest thing with Gary Moore on the Still Got the Blues album, and guested on a couple of gigs as well. I had the live VHS, where both him and Albert King, came out and did some stuff with Gary. Fantastic player, and just an immense Telecaster tone for blues. So he had to be first on the list. Let's see who's next.
Wilco Johnson.
You cannot have a list of famous blues guitarists who use Telecasters without mentioning Wilco Johnson. Again, how I discovered him, there used to be a BBC TV show called Rock School. It was on a Sunday afternoon, I believe, and it was basically a half-hour TV show with a rock band in a TV studio, and each week, I think it was a 3-piece band. I can't remember the name of the bass player, but it was Henry Nichols on drums and Deirdre Cartwright on guitar, and a bass player whose name I can't remember. And each week they would go through, the techniques and the kind of methods used in various styles of popular music. One week would be the heavy metal week, it would be the reggae week next week, and on the blues week they wheeled out Wilco Johnson for a little bit of an interview, and he was just sat on top of his amp, looking a lot younger than he does there, and he just started playing, and it was just the most amazing thing I'd ever heard. You know, this guy seemed to be playing both rhythm and lead guitar parts at the same time. Then they showed footage of him from a Dr. Feelgood gig where he was doing his kind of customary, walking like a robot around the stage and everything, and it was just electrifying. And that was when I discovered Wilco Johnson, and I've loved his music ever since. Let's see who's next.
Rory Buchanan.
Rory Buchanan. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is he really a blues guitarist? Of course he is. I'm linking to examples of all of these players down in the description. So go and check out the link that I've got for this one. It's from a 1976 live in Austin, Texas performance where he's playing Roy's Blues. And, just what an incredible player. Just no pedals. I didn't see any pedals anyway, but he wasn't known as a guy who used a lot of outboard processing or effects or anything. He just used to plug into an amp and play, and the different timbres and characters that he could coax out of a Telecaster, from just whisper soft and purring like a kitten through to aggressive and jagged, all just seemingly effortlessly, while he's singing, and he's not even looking like he's breaking a sweat. I know I've said previously that I like guitarists who look like they're giving it absolutely everything, but in a strange way, Roy always seemed to look like that, but without being histrionic about it. Just an absolute master of his craft. And if there is one guitar player who was completely associated with the Telecaster, it's Rory Buchanan, and he had to be on the list. Next,
Robben Ford.
Robben Ford, yes. Many people associate him with different styles of guitars. I first discovered Robben Ford in the late 80s when the Talk to Your Daughter album came out, and he was playing that Fender thin line semi-acoustic back then. Was it the Fender Esprit or something like that? I can't remember. It eventually became the Robben Ford Fender signature model, because he was pretty much the only person who ever played one. And then recently he's got a signature model PRS, and then when I saw him on the Andertons YouTube channel, he was playing some boutique Strat. I think it was on that. Anyway, I've seen him playing like a boutique high-end Strat style guitar. But the one guitar that I've seen him always sort of revert to over the years, like where are we now, 36 years since I first discovered Robben, I've always seen him going back to his, I think, is this a 61 Telecaster that he's got? And I think he refers to it as his blues guitar. It's the one that he apparently feels makes him sound the most bluesy, or it's the guitar that he feels most comfortable playing blues on. And again, link in the description. I'll have to see if I can find some footage of him actually playing a Telecaster, but if not, there will be some footage of Robben Ford playing something or other. And just, well, you can see there's the evidence on screen there. He is fond of a Telecaster, and he makes a rather pleasant sound with it, so he had to be on the list. Next,
Rory Gallagher.
Yeah, probably the surprising one, because we associate Rory with that famous Stratocaster. The Rory Gallagher Stratocaster, an iconic guitar. It's up there with Brian May's Red Special and, B.B. King's Lucille, and probably Eric Clapton's Blackie guitar, as being guitars that you kind of think of as being part of the identity of the player themselves. But he was a fan of the Telecaster as well. He used to pick up, I think it was a 61 or a 63 Tele, I can't remember. Actually, no, I do remember it. It's a 1966 Tele that he used to use for playing slide on. And, plenty of examples of Rory playing slide on this. Again, I'll try and find some footage to link down below. Great player. Absolutely. I mean, he is the epitome of what I was talking about earlier on. The guitar player who never looks like they're just operating on sort of tick over, on idle. You know, he is always 110% committed to what he's doing. You know that story about his Strat, don't you, where they would have to swap the necks out because the wood on the neck would just get so impregnated with his sweat from playing that they would have to put a spare neck on and let the other neck dry out. I'm not sure if that's apocryphal or not, but it's one of those stories where you definitely can believe that it's true, because he was, you know, just that kind of player. And as I say, you know, almost as famous for using a Telecaster when he used to pick up the slide. I should have a slide around here somewhere. I'd have picked it up and illustrated the point, but can't find it. Anyway, so there you go. Those are my 5 picks for blues guitarists known for playing Telecasters. A couple of honourable mentions. I don't usually do these in these videos because then it eventually ends up becoming a top 10 video. But a couple of honourable mentions. We have to mention, of course, Mr. McKinley Morganfield, better known as Muddy Waters. The reason he didn't make the top 5 was, frankly, my fault, because I am less familiar with Muddy Waters' body of work than I am with all of the rest of the guitarists on this list. I've got one Muddy Waters album in my collection, to my shame. It's that Hard Again album that he did with Johnny Winter in the 70s, you know, where that iconic version of Manish Boy comes from. Can you hear the dog barking? So that's Muddy Waters. And another honourable mention goes to these two fellas, so Rick Parfitt and Francis Rossi of Status Quo. Excuse me, I just need to go and answer the door. And I'm back in the room. Little parcel someone sent me. We'll unbox that before the end of the video. Yes, Francis Rossi and Rick Parfitt of Status Quo. Blues guitarists, it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it, really? But, you know, most of their songs are 1/4/5, 12-bar format. And they both play Telecasters. And, yeah, they were favourites of mine as a kid. So guitarists who play 12-bar blues songs and use Telecasters, I couldn't not mention these two guys. So there you go. There's the couple of honourable mentions. Now let's have a look and see what's in here.
Go on, lad. Way out.
Some beer. Somebody sent me a couple of bottles of beer. I know who this is. Dave, thank you for sending me the beer. It got here rather quicker than expected. This is Till Death and After, Forever Entwined Ale, and this comes from one of my students who lives near a local little craft brewery, and he snagged me a couple of bottles of this, which will be getting consumed on the Friday live stream. More about that before we wrap up, but those are, as I said, my picks for my top blues guitarists who use Telecasters, and that is the video for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen and found it relatively entertaining in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. And as I said, don't forget the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time, where we partake in a little bit of a beer o'clock session. Basically, we have a beer and a natter. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.